General Grievous was the deadly commander of the Separatist forces and a loyal subordinate to Sidious before his downfall on Utapau. But what if Grievous survived and served Sidious after the Clone Wars?
Yes, Lord Sidious.
General Grievous, I suggest you move the Separatist leaders to Mustafar.
It will be done, my lord.
The end of the war is near, General.
Okay, so for this theory, we're going to say that after his defeat on Utapau, Sidious orders Obi-Wan's 212th Battalion to salvage Grievous's remains, and somehow they manage to resurrect the general. Now, I know how unlikely this is, the fact that he was vaporized by Obi-Wan, but for the fun of the theory, we'll say that he's taken to a secret medical outpost and reconstructed. Now, you might be thinking, why would Sidious want Grievous alive? He was just another loose end, and Grievous didn't know that Sidious and Palpatine were one and the same. However, keeping General Grievous alive may make a lot of sense. Throughout the Clone Wars, Grievous was very loyal to Sidious. Even when it seemed that his plans were in jeopardy, Grievous would still side for him. For example, when Dooku was captured by Maul, and Grievous remained utterly loyal. As well as this, following Dooku's death when defeat was imminent for the CIS, and many of its leaders wanted to negotiate a peace with the Republic, Grievous would not allow it. He continued the war because it's what Sidious wanted. So it's abundantly clear Grievous was ferociously loyal to Palpatine.
I am sending you to the Mustafar system in the Outer Rim. It is a volcanic planet. You will be safe there.
Safe? Chancellor Palpatine managed to escape your great general. Without Count Dooku, I have doubts about your ability to keep us safe.
Be thankful, Viceroy. You have not found yourself in my grip. Your ship is waiting.
It's also important to note, Grievous had very few other allegiances. He didn't really like the CIS all that much. He often grew angry at Dooku for questioning his competence, and he saw the Separatist Council as just a bunch of bickering tycoons. In fact, in Star Wars Legends, the only reason he was working with the Separatists was because the banking clan offered to bail out his home planet from a huge debt that they'd acquired during an ill-conceived war, and because it offered him a platform in which to fight the Republic and Jedi, whom he hated. Grievous, at the end of the day, was a very useful asset, not only as a tactician, but he was experienced in fighting the Jedi, and this was something Sidious particularly valued. During the early years of his reign, there was no Inquisitors. Palpatine had to rely almost exclusively on Vader to deal with Jedi that emerged, so having another competent warrior around would make a great deal of sense. So we're going to say that Sidious reveals himself as being both Sidious and Palpatine, and offers Grievous a part in his new regime, and of course, Grievous will take it. Not only because the alternative is almost surely death, but it's just what he's been doing for the past few years, serving Sidious. It's just under a different banner this time. Now, what role Grievous would play in the Empire is considerably different to the one he did in the CIS. You see, Grievous's existence would have to be kept a secret. He was the face of the enemy during the Clone Wars, and he was wanted for countless war crimes against the Republic. So if he suddenly starts working for the Empire, people are going to get very suspicious, and the Senate would be an outcry for justice. So in my mind, there's two ways in which Sidious might choose to use the General. One, Grievous would be a Black Ops weapon, to be used in scenarios the Empire didn't want to be discovered by the Republic or the Senate. Slave revolts, Jedi enclaves, Imperial rebellion, anything Sidious needed getting rid of, he would dispatch the lethal Kaleesh warlord to clean up, similarly to how Vader was often used during the early years. Or two, Sidious keeps Grievous as a puppet. Throughout the early years of the Empire, Sidious used fearmongering of Separatist remnants as an excuse to inflate his military, increase tax, etc. By having Grievous out there doing damage, it would justify his point. It would give the Empire an enemy they could unite against, and this would only increase Sidious's span of power. Regardless, in my mind, no matter what Sidious chooses to use Grievous as, his story's going to end the same way. If Sidious uses him as a public enemy to expand his military, sooner or later he's gonna have to destroy him. He can only cause so much damage and escape so many times before Grievous will make Sidious's empire look weak. So sooner or later, Sidious would tie up this loose end and kill Grievous. And if Sidious used him as a secret military operative, he's not going to last long there in my opinion as well. You see, Grievous doesn't work well with others, as we see throughout the entire Clone Wars, and being put under the control of the Moffs and Imperial commanders who outrank him, it would just infuriate him to no end. As well as this, no one Imperial Command would want to work with him. A lot of these Moffs, Admirals and Commanders are veterans from the Clone Wars, and would not like the Kaleesh. They fought against Grievous, and they'd see him as little more than a violent animal, so realistically, he'd have no allies. Meaning it's incredibly likely that he would anger the wrong Moff, who would discreetly find a way to do away with the Kaleesh. After all, power plays were a constant struggle within Imperial Command. Or Grievous would be pushed to the edge and would simply snap and turn on his Imperial handlers, which would inevitably result in his demise. Ultimately, General Grievous was more than a capable warrior and commander, but after he'd served his purpose in the Clone Wars, there was no real reason to keep him around that wouldn't end badly. But what do you think? Should Sidious have tried to make more of a permanent use of Grievous? And what did you think an empire with the Kaleesh in it would look like? Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed. If so, please remember to like, sub and share, as it's really appreciated and helps the channel grow. Also, follow me on Twitter at TheLoreGuy for regular updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.